Hey guys, Ricky Widmer here from Most Valuable Podcast. You're about to listen to a little bit of our primetime podcast that we recorded this week. Make sure to go to Blog Talk Radio / Most Valuable Podcast for our full-length podcast that you can go ahead and download. I hope you enjoy it. I know me and Brandon did recording it. And Brandon, we are going to move right along to our last bracket before we get to our Final Four predictions. We got one more bracket to go through and talk about, and that is the good old Shooting West. As we are going out to the West bracket. What, you got to do a little Western, the little Yosemite Sam with the gun. Do. And we are going to look at the West bracket. Let's set it up for you guys. At the top, the number one overall seed for, in my book, I don't care what anyone else says, this is the number one overall seed to me, Gonzaga Bulldogs. They're going up against the 16th-seeded South Dakota State Jackrabbits. Then the 8-9 matchup, Northwestern and Vanderbilt. The 5-12 matchup, Notre Dame and Princeton. 4-13, West Virginia Bucknell. Then we have the 6-11 Maryland Xavier. 3-14, Florida State and FGCU. 7-10, St. Mary's and VCU. And then Arizona and North Dakota going on in the 2-15 matchup. And Brandon, I'm going to start you off with the same thing I've started the last three off with. Every 15 seed other than Troy, I really like in this tournament. Not to win, but I just really like them as a team. I was watching North Dakota State play against Weber State. Weber on, what was that, Saturday. They went to overtime to win the Big Sky Conference Championship.
Big Sky.
They had to go to overtime to win that game. I was really impressed with North Dakota. But really, this is a matchup. I'm just going to get out of the way. Not going to beat Arizona. Arizona, too good. Lonzo Trier, too good to lose to a 15 seed. What's a matchup in this bracket you want to look at first?
Well, there's multiple. But the first one that I want to take a look at is the 8-9.
That's what I thought you were going to say, big guy.
Yep, with Northwestern and Vandy. And I think that this is really interesting because of the fact that Northwestern was a team that we went back and forth on this season. We talked about many times on this podcast. And they're a team that I think that you take a look at them, and they have had a bumpy road at times, but at other times, I mean, right around December, going to January, they were strong. This was a strong team. And I think even in the last week, the game that they played, what was it, last Sunday, a week ago, against Purdue, they lost. But they had the lead in that first half.
You texted me.
I texted you, and you were like, whatever. Like, you could have cared less.
Like, Purdue's going to win.
Yeah,
and
you were just like, shut the hell up. Like, don't talk to me. I don't care.
You never like that with you, B.
Well, you better not be.
No, I won't.
But I think that Northwestern, the way that they ended up coming back against Purdue when they got down in the second half, they only lost by, I think, 2 points, 4 points. They played very competitively against Purdue. And I know Purdue went on and didn't play very well in the Big Ten tournament, but still, at the same time, this Northwestern team, they need to prove themselves. And I think they did that enough. They pulled the 8 seed for this tournament in the West. Vandy, they're not bad. They're obviously not bad. But I think Northwestern right now, this is what I said, Ricky, and correct me if I'm wrong. Northwestern, this is the first time that they've been in this tournament. This is the first time that they've been in this tournament. They're either going to do really, really well or they're going to stink. I feel like right now they're going to do really well.
I think they're a one and done or waiting to happen.
All right.
I think they could possibly get past Vandy, and I don't know. I haven't flipped my coin yet to see if I'm going to pick them or not, but I don't see them beating Gonzaga. I don't see that happening. However, the one thing I do want to say, we've been talking about roads for 1 seeds. This, to me, is the toughest road of a 1 seed. You get a Northwestern team that this is their first tournament, and they're just playing for pride. They are just playing for pride. They don't care. If they lose, they're just happy that they got to the big dance in the second round. That is a scary thing to happen for a team when you are playing a team that they are just so happy to be there that they're playing with no pressure. That's what I think could happen with Northwestern. That's why if I'm at Gonzaga, and I'm a fan, I'm looking at it, I'm a little scared of that 8 seed, although I feel like the team could move on. Sweet 16, best possible seed they could reach, West Virginia. a tough matchup. However, West Virginia is a little inconsistent. Still a tough matchup for the Zags. Then you get Arizona in the Elite Eight. Possibly the worst possible Pac-12 team they could have been matched up in the same region at right now. If I'm Gonzaga, give me Oregon, because whoever beats Oregon, remember, is going to the Final Four. Whoever beats Oregon, who will end up being Michigan, mark my words, they will beat Oregon and go on to the Final Four, maybe even the national championship. This, to me, is the hardest road of a 1 seed. Out of all the other ones, this is the hardest road that they have to play. And it's not necessarily about the team. It's just about the matchups that each of these teams can give to this Gonzaga team. However, we were watching their game against St. Mary's in that championship game. This is a Gonzaga team. All they got to do is catch the rebound, and boom, they're looking to go. They're looking to run.
And that's the thing, Ricky, is that I think they have one of the best inside games and such an inside presence with their big men of
with
about
Karnowski and
what seems about what are they 7-2, but I think that they are the best team in transition, getting out in transition. They get it and they go, and that is one thing that you pointed out right away. You're like, they get it and boom, they are off to the races to the other side. They get down to that court so quickly. People cannot even get back on defense. That's why I think that this Gonzaga team is so dangerous, because one, they're complete. They are complete from the outside, from the perimeter shooting wise. They are so strong inside. Getting rebounds is going to be very difficult for other teams. And I think that in transition, Gonzaga is next to none. I think that they are so good, so strong, and a team that I think has such a chance to go far in this tournament, and I'm very excited for them. But I also think, though, too, is that I mentioned Northwestern being able to play well against Purdue. Then Northwestern did not show up. They didn't get off the bus against Wisconsin, scoring only 48 points, the least amount of points I think ever scored in the Big Ten tournament. That was bad. But I think that you have one game. You play against Vanderbilt, you've got a very good opportunity to be able to win that game. Why? No pressure, Ricky. No pressure. And the thought of, we could be going against a possible team that goes deep in this tournament, that a lot of people are looking at possibly going to the Final Four with Gonzaga. I think that those are things on their mind that they're like, we're here. Now we want to stay here. I think that's one of the things. You say they're going to be one and done, and maybe they will be. But at the same time, I think if they win, they could be a dangerous team only for the fact that they're there. It's the first time that they've been there, and no one knows how they're going to be in that tournament. No one knows. They have no history.
The one thing that I will say, Northwestern, the big thing with them, like you said, no pressure. They got no pressure. And I want to say, when I'm saying like Northwestern, we're just happy to be here, it's not one of those things like they don't want to go out and win games. Of course you do, but it's one of those things where because of that, you have no pressure. None of the pressure's on you. You're not picked to win it all. The odds are kind of against you. But one team I want to throw out there, and it's the team that's on your shirt right now. Show everyone what team is on your shirt.
Notre Dame.
That's the team that I think Gonzaga is going to play in the Sweet 16. That's a team that I think is going that's a team I love within this bracket. I love them. I think I love what they do. They've got outside shooting. They got Bonzi down low. This is a team that could strong arm their way to the basket. They've got great vision with Farrell. There was a pass he had against Duke where he was going one way, behind the back, no look, boom, found the guy straight in for a dunk. It was insane what that Notre Dame team is able to do. They're a team I like in this bracket, and they're a team that, can they upset the Zags? Maybe, but I like the Zags going all the way to the ship. I called it, and I'm going to stick by it.
West Virginia Bucknell is going to be an interesting matchup, I think. West Virginia, again, that team that a lot of people look at and they go, West Virginia, man, they're a pretty good regular season team, but they get to the tournament and all of a sudden they just aren't able to do what they did in the regular season. And I think, I think Bob Huggins is ready to have that be done. He is ready to finally get his team on a roll.
A roly roll?
A roly-poly. And I think that this could possibly be the year to do it. You beat Bucknell, you're most likely going to be matching up against Notre Dame in that next round. That's going to be tough.
Unless Princeton has a Harvard moment, a Jeremy Lin Harvard moment.
I don't
think so.
I don't see it.
I just throw it out there.
I don't see it, but I want to say it now, and I want to bring it up now because we're in our final region.
Yep.
Is that with what this? I feel like this is what happens in college basketball every season, but more so this season. What you expect to happen
is not going to happen.
Think the other way.
Yeah.
Because that's what's actually going to happen.
So go against your gut. Is
exactly.
What you're saying.
Exactly. But it's so hard to do. But I feel like this is the season, if none other, this is the season where that's going to be apparent. If you believe, if you believe very strongly that 5 is beating that 12, you better pick the 12 because that's who's going to win. That's just what I feel. That's what I feel like we've seen in these tournaments, in the Big Ten tournament, in the SEC tournament, in the ACC tournament, in the Big 12. I mean, all of these tournaments. I feel like that's what we have seen. It's not what you expect, and that's what happens.
I'm going to throw this question at you. One matchup. I'm going to throw it at you. See what you're doing. Could we be looking at Florida State and FGCU as a possible upset game in this region? Or am I just thinking back to visions that used to be of Florida Gulf Coast and thinking that there's a mirage there that really is nothing? Is that an upset, or am I just looking at something that's not there?
They're two Florida teams, so I think you definitely have to take a look at that and go, this could be intriguing. And I won't say that this is a rivalry game. It's not by any means, but I think that
Florida State really cares about FGCU.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, big rivals. But I think that you take a look at this game and you go, could it be interesting? Because they're two teams from Florida, and people will remember FGCU from a couple years ago.
Yeah, Slam City.
Absolutely. And I think that Florida State, though, too, has had enough losses this year that would make you question and go, their teams have been able to do it. Doesn't mean the Florida Gulf Coast can, but don't write them off.
Do you think that this is an upset that could happen?
I think
I'm asking because you're not giving me a hard yes or no. That's what I'm asking.
This wouldn't. Let me put it like this. If I'm looking at the 3-14 games, and I looked at every 3-14 game and looked and saw if it was going to be an upset or not, this would not be the one that I would say that's my upset.
New Mexico Baylor is. We already decided that one. It's New Mexico State and Baylor. You know what upset I think is going to happen in this round? Xavier. I think Xavier's going to upset the Terrapins.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. That's the next one I was going to talk about. I completely agree with you.
I like the Musketeers. I like how they played against Butler, and Maryland's a team. Yeah, I like Maryland, but Mello, Trimble, this has been kind of a year where it's like, yeah, you got to the tournament, but this is just a bad matchup, I think, for the Pins. I think it's a bad matchup for the Terrapins.
I agree with you. I don't think Maryland is as strong as even what they were last season, and there's got to be more than Mello, Trimble. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at this bracket up to down. This could possibly be the most boring bracket that we see, the most boring region, because I can take you through right now who I think. This is preliminary, of course, but I got the Zags, I like Northwestern, I like Notre Dame, I like West Virginia, Xavier, Florida State. I'll take VCU and then Arizona. What is that, 2 upsets?
VCU?
2 upsets? 2 upsets in that whole thing? St. Mary's and VCU flip a coin there. Flip a coin to me.
St. Mary's all the way.
Flip a coin. It doesn't matter. You're going to lose to Arizona anyways. Then you go on to the next round.
And Sean Miller's going to sweat through 3 shirts.
Yeah. Then you look through the next round for me. Gonzaga over Northwestern. I'll take Notre Dame over West Virginia. I'm going to go Xavier. I'm going to go Xavier to the Sweet 16 right now. This is preliminary. My bracket might change when I actually look into it.
Your bracket's going to change tomorrow.
And then Arizona, and then I'll have Gonzaga, Arizona. But I am sweating that Notre Dame game if I am Gonzaga, and then I have Gonzaga in the Final Four. This, to me, is the most straightforward bracket for me. A few upsets here and there, probably. Xavier's the one that breaks off 2 upsets and then loses to Arizona in the Sweet 16. and then it's mostly dominated by top seeds except for Arizona and Notre Dame.
I'm trying to think if it seems like the most straightforward bracket. I think you actually might be right with the most straightforward bracket, but I don't necessarily agree with all of your picks. But I think that if you, by taking a look at this one and comparing it to all the others, I think that you're right. I think that this probably is the one that everything pretty much happens fairly smoothly, not a whole lot of drama, stuff like that. But of course, because we're saying that, it's going to be the most chaotic.
Yeah, you know how I said the Midwest was the WTF bracket? Watch this one be the WTF.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Watch Bucknell come out and make it to the Elite Eight. I know that saying that they would have to beat Gonzaga to do that.
Don't you feel like I feel like there's so many of those teams this year? Mm-hmm. Bucknell, Winthrop, or that. I feel like one of those teams is going to go far.
I like a lot of them in non-West bracket land. West bracket land, I'm looking at it, and I'm not too high on Bucknell. Maybe it's because of the matchup they got. I'm not high on Princeton. Xavier got a favorable matchup. FGCU, I almost want to pick them. I almost do. I almost want to say, sure, go and beat Florida State, but right now I'm kind of leaning towards the Seminoles. But to me, I think this is a clear... This region will probably be, in my mind, Gonzaga, Arizona, or Notre Dame, Arizona. One of the two. And if Gonzaga plays Arizona, I like the Zags to win. And if Notre Dame plays Arizona, I like Arizona to win. Notre Dame to me, like Notre Dame can win. I just like Arizona to beat Notre Dame. Those are the three teams out of this bracket that I think is going to make the Final Four. Like those are my three where it's like put money on them of all the teams in this bracket, of this region. Because those are the ones that have the best shot of making the Final Four. To me, I feel like in the end it's Gonzaga and Arizona. It's their bracket to lose. Notice how I said to lose, not to win because they're the favorites. It's their bracket to lose. Is there anything else in this region that you think we need to touch? Or is this, like I said, the straightforward region?
No, I think we got it.
Well, and this is where you guys come in. Let us know down below in the comment section. Who do you guys got in some of these games? Who are you looking for in this one? Do you think, like I said, this is the most straightforward region on the bracket? And who you got making the Final Four from this region? Well, thank you guys for checking out this video from the Primetime Podcast. If you want to check out more, click right over here. The video's right over here. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out.